Okay, welcome everyone. I'm going to call to order at 6:17 p.m. for our first LNC meeting. I don't usually bang a gavel, but I could bang my forehead. Okay, so the first thing on our agenda is roll call. Madam Secretary, would you like to do roll call?
Yeah, because I'm going to need to learn to pronounce these names.
Bear with us, we
Okay,
apologize.
but I say this in love. John Wilford was the best at mispronouncing names, but I'm second best. So obviously, Chair Angela McCardle's present, Vice Chair Joshua Smith is absent, Secretary Karen Anna Harlos is present, Treasurer Todd Hagopian is absent. So at large, Justin Blankenship.
Yep.
Blankenship.
Blankenship.
Yep, I'm telling you.
Like eat a bag of chips.
If I mispronounce Rich Bowen's name, that would be pretty sad. Is he here?
It's Bowen.
Is it Bowen?
No.
Oh my God, I was thinking it's mispronounced this whole time. Brian Elliott?
Here.
Steve Michaela?
Here.
Mike Ruffo?
Here.
Oh God. Miguel Duque?
That is correct here.
Okay. Oh, now here we go. Kathy Yanuskevich.
Perfect.
Oh my Lord.
Good name.
Dave Benner?
Yes, and Ms. Harlos, I think Todd Hagopian is actually here and connected online.
Okay, I'll note it as remote. Is Joshua online as well?
Joshua is not online yet, and I have not noted them as present because I believe they need to be present in person, but I would like to note.
I'll put it in a footnote,
Yes.
is what I tend to do. So Martin Cohen?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it Cohen or Cowan?
Cowan.
Cowan. Justin Nanaconda?
I'm here.
Connor Nepo,
Nepomuceno.
what?
Nepomuceno.
That's going to be a
Nepo
while.
is sufficient.
Okay, gotcha. I'll learn it. Carrie Eiler?
Present.
Joshua Clark?
Present.
Andrew Watkins?
Present.
Otto Dassing?
Here.
Joseph Eklund?
Here.
Mark Tuyenvitz? Tuyenovich? Tunyevich. I'll get Linnea Gabbard?
Linnea Gabbard.
Okay. Donovan Pankey?
Here.
Pat Ford?
Here.
And Robley, correct, is
Here.
the, and Robley, I'm forgetting right now, I'm so tired. Your last name again, please?
Paul, H-A-L-L.
Derp. Okay.
Okay,
Madam Chair, there you go up on the screen, and blue indicates online.
great. Okay, can we scroll down a little bit so we can see? Okay, we have public comment, 2 minutes per speaker. Now, there's not a limit to this. I would ask that everyone would be kind, considering that we've been going really hard all day in business. Would anyone like to give public comment?
Madam Chair, in the back. It's more of just a point of information. Joshua Smith is in the Zoom waiting room.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And he is admitted. Okay, so we need to probably form a line to give public comment. Can we do that? Can we form a line over here in the middle of the room?
That looks like a good spot.
Right here. Do we have someone who can keep time for us?
I can do that.
Okay, we'll have Martin do it. Thank you, though. Okay, so we're all good? Okay, so
And
Martin,
when you-
when you're ready, you let me know.
And if they could please say their name and state, I like to note that.
Okay? So we're gonna do name and state. Martin's gonna keep time, and then you'll let us know when we got like 10 seconds left?
All right, I'm going to start right now.
Okay, great, thank you. Let's get it on.
Jeff Coleman from Missouri. First of all, congratulations to each and every one of you. Hold the applause. Several months ago, LP Missouri approved up to $5,000 towards legal expenses of challenging Missouri's Amendment 30. This constitutional amendment shifted the state's primary redistricting authority from a nonpartisan demographer to a pair of explicitly bipartisan commissions, which precludes direct libertarian participation in Missouri redistricting. It also abolished redistricting requirements for partisan fairness and competitiveness. We are in talks with an election law specialist in Missouri Matthew Vianello, who is interested in mounting this challenge for LP Missouri and has identified numerous legal vulnerabilities of Amendment 3. The attorney has agreed to a discounted hourly rate and a cap of $15,000 in legal fees to achieve a court ruling. In order to cover the cost of litigating, LP Missouri is kindly renewing our previously submitted request for funding commitment not to exceed $10,000 from the LNC. If approved, every LP dollar shall be matched by 50 cents from LP Missouri, such that each legal invoice would be shared by the LP and LP Missouri in a 2-to-1 ratio. This body's timely review of our renewed request will be greatly appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Timothy Perkins with the Libertarian Party of Oregon. I have just made my first installment on a lifetime membership, and I'd like to receive my PIN in about 1 year when I hope our chair can make it out to our convention in Oregon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rachel Nix, California. As everyone knows, our new chair has been the chair of the Los Angeles County Libertarian Party for the last few years. I have served the last 2 years as her vice chair. So just on behalf of the entire Los Angeles County Libertarian Party, we want to once again congratulate you on your win. We have the utmost confidence in you. It's going to be a great 2 years, guys.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brody Elwood. I'm a delegate from Massachusetts. I also sit on the board of the Legitimate Libertarian Association of Massachusetts. I come before you today to ask for you to consider to take up the Massachusetts issue. Our delegation, many of us here are part of the 47 allegedly expelled members, and we've been waiting for 4 to 5 months for an answer from the LNC, from national leadership, and I think it is time to actually consider this issue, so I ask that you consider this issue today, or at the very least set a time in the near future to consider the Massachusetts issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Janelle Holmes. I'm also a delegate from Massachusetts, and I'm also one of the 47 allegedly expelled. I would like to echo Brody Elwood's statement, and I would just like to add that if it could be heard today, expediency would be great, because we have been dealing with the other board making threats to us. It has caused a lot of stress in my life personally, and I would just like an end to this battle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael Higgins, Florida. I'm here to support the 47 members. I came here, like all of you, to free the Libertarian Party. And I just think that if that expediency was today, it would be better served for the party as an evidence of how quick you guys could work in unison. Thanks.
Hi, Nick Sosowski from Georgia. Just wanted to say how excited I am to see this new LNC and want to see some great stuff done. That's it. Thank you.
My name is Evan McMahon. I'm the chairman of the Libertarian Party of Indiana. Earlier today, we submitted a resolution in writing to the secretary, and when Mr. Wilford was acting as secretary of the convention, and also to Karen Ann Harlos as secretary, as well as to the chair of the party at the time. We wanted to have a resolution by the main body of the delegation, or the body of the whole of the convention, calling on President Biden to immediately pardon Edward Snowden.
Oh.
Would be, since our delegation worked so hard on this as a group, that this be added to the agenda for us to read this later in the meeting and have the LNC take it up as a board instead of as the delegation as a whole. So I would ask that you do that. I would make an edit to the copy that was sent because it was not passed by the entire convention delegation, but instead by the LNC. But I would ask that you do that so that we can share the resolution and also be able to acknowledge our our city delegation for coming up with it and drafting it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andy Jacobs, Libertarian Party delegate from Pennsylvania. And back in 2013, I brought a proposal to then at-large LNC rep from California, Starchild, who's just walking in the room right now, that the LNC should adopt Bitcoin, donations in Bitcoin. And Starchild brought it to the LNC, there was some debate back and forth, and they ended up passing it. And I was the one who told then Chairman Jeffrey Neal how I hooked him up with a company that converts Bitcoin donations into Federal Reserve notes so they can report it to the FEC. And if you go on the LP.org website, the Bitcoin link is still up there, and it was a big success. So today, I talked to the people at the Talk Monero booth. That over there is Douglas Tuma. Tuman, sorry. And during while we were talking, I told him this story, and we said, hey, why doesn't the Libertarian Party accept donations in Monero? Monero is a decentralized, default, private cryptocurrency. It's so private that no government has been able to track and trace Monero. This could be a great tool for pushing society towards individual freedom. And I think it can be converted into Federal Reserve notes so the LNC can be in compliance with the election laws. And back in 2019, I went to an LNC meeting in Northern Virginia, and I suggested that they accept donations in altcoins. Any cryptocurrency that's not Bitcoin is an altcoin, which is alternative to Bitcoin. And unfortunately, the LNC didn't act. That LNC didn't do anything with my suggestion. I'm hoping this LNC will. So I urge you to accept donations in Monero and other cryptocurrencies. Thank you.
Hello, my name is James Jenneman from Minnesota. Congratulations to all of the newly elected and re-elected LNC members. But more than that, I want to thank every person in this room who trusted me and the rest of the sort of organizing crew from the Mises Caucus. In particular, the non-Mises Caucus members who voted along with us, who trusted us to do what's right for this party. We placed our trust in these people to steer us in the right direction. And this is something that I put so much work and so much time and so many years of thought and sweat and money, lots of money. You see my new friend, it's great, I'm a new lifetime member. We're going to be watching you, don't fuck it up. Otherwise, thanks.
Hello, my name is Brian Zakrajik. I'm a delegate from Massachusetts. I'm here today to ask, I know Scott Horton mentioned the Defend the Guard.
Yes, yes.
I am a firm believer in it. I was 9 years in the Navy. I brought my best friend back home to his parents after he passed on the ship due to an incident. About a year later, I went to the highest enlisted person in my command because I was having trouble getting out of bed in the morning, suffering from severe depression. And I was told by that person to not go to therapy because they might put me on antidepressants, which could cancel me from my job. And that's just me. I can't even imagine what somebody having gone through something in Afghanistan or Iraq or places like that. So this is a thing that I'm very passionate about, and I feel like the beginning of The Godfather where, hey, this is my opportunity to ask for something. So I would ask that as soon as feasible, the LNC takes a look at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rene Perez, Texas. I was going to bring the resolution to the body. It has been submitted to the secretary. Scott Horton spoke to it earlier in the day. We just didn't find the time, right time for it to be heard. If it's in order, it would be love it if you guys would consider adopting that resolution. I believe with just a few tweaks from convention to LNC, it could work. That's more.
Madam Chair,
that would still be Defend the Guard resolution?
Yes, sir. Defend the Guard, yes.
Okay.
Can you please state your first and last name a little bit louder. I got Perez.
Renee
Renee
Perez.
Perez. And how do you spell Renee?
R-E-N-E.
Got it. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Kevin Patton, it's P-A-T-T-E-N, not O-N like the general. Actually, I'm not a libertarian or a delegate, I'm a journalist and an activist now in Arizona. You see, I had to flee the state of California. I'm coming up to my 1-year mark right now. We are much happier in California now. The leadership prior to this weekend seemed to be conspicuously silent about lockdowns and mandates. My only comment would be that we never tolerate those, if not here in California, if not in Arizona, maybe not in America either. So all I'm asking in my comments, please, let's be opposed to mandates and lockdowns always and forever.
Hello everyone, Star Child from California. Congratulations to all of you who are newly elected. I hope you will take the trust and confidence placed in you seriously and move us forward always towards more freedom and less government control. I've been concerned for a long time, and I've been an activist involved in the party committees conventions since the early 90s, and I think we always have been and continue to be at risk of a right-wing or Republican takeover. Some people thought the Mises folks were that. I don't think so. But I think some of the changes that we're making are putting us even more at risk. Dropping the abortion plank, getting rid of language explicitly disassociating ourselves from bigotry. I know a lot of you support those changes, and I can understand that. I would just ask you to think about what other things we can do to kind of balance that, so we're not positioning our party to lean over more towards the right, because it can become like a ship taking on water. You have a leak on the starboard side, you keel over a little bit, that causes more water to come out that side. And the more conservative friendly we appear in our messaging and positions and everything, the more people come into the party from that side potentially. And usually when people come in, they're not as libertarian as they become after they've stayed around and learned over the years and become more radical as the usual process. But if you ever get a big influx right away, that could be very dangerous. So I would just encourage people to think about that and see what you can do to make sure that while we do take the stand as we should, things like COVID lockdowns and mandates, that we think about what kind of messaging we can do to maintain that appeal to people on the left. Because unlike the Constitution Green Party, the strength of the Libertarian Party, the reason we're the #3 party in this country is because we can appeal to people from both sides. And they can't. Anytime the Constitution Party starts picking up steam, the Republicans can just move over right a little bit and steal all their thunder.
2 minutes.
Same with the green and left.
Thank you.
Am I out of time?
You're out of time.
Thank you, Star Child.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown. I'm Richard Brown, and I was honored to serve as your convention parliamentarian. I think this made the 3rd or 4th time, depending on whether you count the 2020 as one convention or 2 conventions. To me, it was 2 very rough conventions.
Yeah.
But this year was, let me tell you, with great trepidation, hearing everything I had heard about what could happen, and it was interesting, but I think it turned out to be a very good convention. You got a lot done. It had a lot of unusual twists and turns, but I was pleased to have served, and I want to congratulate you on having had a good convention.
Rex Lundstrom of Ohio, the delegate. Wanted to congratulate all of you. Also wanted to give a different perspective on having a, let's say, liberal appeal. I was telling some folks that I ran into while I was here of a story I heard from Aesop's Fables, if you know them, the famous ones, and it's about the fox, oh no, I'm getting it wrong, the wolf and the lamb, kind of overdone, but the lamb strays from the flock, the wolf feels some sadness, compunction, going to take an innocent life, and so it says, it's casts about for a plausible grievance. It says, oh, you, Sirach, last year you insulted me grievously. The lamb said, that can't be, I wasn't born last year. The wolf says, well, you eat from my pastures. The lamb says, I've just drank milk. He says, oh, well, you drank from my stream. I haven't tasted anything but milk. And then as the wolf stopped and said, well, that was reasonable, I leave. No, he actually pounces on the lamb because he doesn't actually care what the lamb says. He just wanted to eat. He said, I won't let you keep me from my dinner. And he ate. And I think part of the reason why the Mises Caucus was so popular is because we've been trying to appeal to people who don't care about us. So I'm very happy with the new board, and I hope they speak the truth and don't worry about appeasing a party, especially one that doesn't care about us. Thanks.
Hi, Eric Lindborg from North Carolina. I request that if we don't already have a formal process, that we have a way to gather feedback about this convention from our folks and make sure that there's action owners for those improvements.
Yeah, very
Do it quickly, like the next 48 hours, while stuff is fresh on people's minds, what we can do better.
Okay, thank you. Do we have, I believe we might have one final public comment.
Janae LeBlanc, Texas. I was going to speak and change my mind, and you brought up the convention. I welcome anyone to send me an email or anyone else on the COC with feedback. Some of us are already starting to get together a list of issues or ideas, how we can improve next time. So, also wanted to welcome all the new LNC, and please keep me in mind when you're looking for another COC member in 2 years.
Can you please share an email address?
coc@lp.org, and that will go to all of us.
All right.
Information. Janae,
Yes.
you are currently on the Convention Oversight Committee?
Yes.
Convention Oversight Committee will not disband until 90 days after the convention, so you are still considered a member of the Convention Oversight.
Right, I just meant the next time, I would like to be considered again by this LNC
Fine.
when we take applications.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, in the past, it's been somewhat traditional, I don't know if you will continue it, is if LNC members at the end of public comment have something that really doesn't fit in a meeting, that we can kind of have a few seconds as well.
Absolutely.
There was a motion on the floor earlier today to try to censor the past LNC. I would like everyone to throw that kind of a motion away. Of all people, I'd probably be the one who has some kind of just cause for that, and I don't want that. The past is done. There is a motion I put on the agenda to rectify what I think is another wrong, but none of that do I ever want to spur any kind of indication. We are not going to move forward looking back. You know, rights can be corrected, but anyone out here who has anything in their heart to think that they need to get even with people on the past board, I'm asking you, please let it go.
Any other LNC members who have any comment that wouldn't fit?
I'll just say it's very fitting for Patrick Henry's birthday to mark the occasion of a dawn of a new era in the LP, and I just think the best thing we all can do is acknowledge all the forerunners that we have, that this body has, that have been in this party for so long, and just avoid their mistakes and embrace their successes. That's all I have to say.
I will make one brief comment about Republican entryism. And that's that I will do everything within my power to shame and humiliate Dan Crenshaw.
Yes.
And to drag Donald Trump for not following through on any of his libertarian promises and for destroying our currency. So all right, let's move on to the next item of business. All right, so let's scroll through the agenda briefly and let's see what we've got on here.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Is it possible for the secretary to make that a little bigger?
Let's give it a shot.
Small after the...
This is shrinking my screen. I hit Command plus and it's doing nothing.
Can you use the scroll?
Let me try that.
Yeah, you got it. There we are.
Okay.
Thank you.
That is visible.
From the top, we have got new business without previous notice. So think on that while I run through this. Motion to suspend any further disbursements from the line of credit until the next LNC meeting. please keep in mind that that next LNC meeting, if all goes well, I would like it to be in about 2 weeks. Motion to rescind and expunge from the minutes the censure of Joshua Smith, appoint executive committee, appoint APRC, appoint HPC chair, appoint temporary assistant treasurer, administrative announcements / requirements by secretary, set date and location for next meeting, and finally adjourn. Yes?
I have a motion to amend the agenda.
Okay.
I would like to set an electronic, right before, after administrative announcements, I would like to set, as soon as possible, a time for an electronic meeting to take up the motion that was previously put forth by Mr. Bowen last term regarding the Libertarian Party of Massachusetts. And the reason I'm asking it for it to be electronic, I do think it's fair to give notice and allow all interested parties to be able to attend.
Okay, so we've got a motion, and there was no date set in the motion. Are we comfortable proceeding without a date set?
Well, I wanted to add it to the agenda to discuss the date and all of that.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second. Sure.
Okay. Anyone opposed? Any further discussion? Okay. So I'm going to say that that motion passes. Good? Okay. Any other new business? If you have a simple resolution or something of that nature, now would be a good time.
Yeah, please do. Madam Chair, we heard from one of our members regarding a proposed resolution regarding Mr. Snowden. I think that'd be an easy thing to take up and dispose with.
Second.
Okay, so Joseph, you're the primary.
Yeah.
Does
I asked
anyone
him.
have the text?
It was sent to the secretary, the gentleman said.
Okay.
Said he had a,
The amendment was sent, Karen.
is this the most, 9 minutes ago? I guess so.
Okay, so we have it here.
I'm going to put it on another blank Word document so it's not in the middle of an email. And
Okay. If he's still here, I believe he indicated that there was a small edit needed
Yep.
to be made.
So what we need right now is if you want this to be on the agenda, we need it to be moved and seconded.
Second.
I move that we put this on the agenda
For today's
for
meeting.
today's meeting.
Okay?
Second.
And seconded by David.
and where on the agenda, please?
Okay, do that.
Oops, that's wrong. Let me get rid of that. That's from today. Save. Set.
Just do it. It's a quick schedule.
Okay. Well, we need to do it immediately, like at the beginning.
Okay, so we've got a motion
Yeah.
to suspend.
Yeah.
Any further disbursements? We've got a motion to rescind, so suspend, rescind. Then we've got some appointments. And then we've got,
He was asking for it at the very beginning?
Right at the beginning, just take it up, dispose of it, and
I'm fine with that.
Thank you.
Okay? Moved and seconded. No, it's a, let's make sure that we have a vote on it. Any objections or further discussion? Going once? Going twice? Okay, motion passes. Go right ahead.
I'd like to also maybe add the defending bond resolution as well.
A second.
yes.
Okay, where would you like that added?
Right after.
Okay, so then moved and seconded. Do we have, let's make sure this is worded the right way.
I do have, if you'd indulge me, just an FYI, public policy resolutions without notice do require a unanimous vote of the members who are present. If it is taken up perhaps at that electronic meeting, it only requires a 2/3 vote. I don't know if there'll be a problem, but I'm just saying it will, because there's no notice, require a unanimous vote.
Let's read the room right now.
It's good. We're good.
Why is upset? Okay,
We like to defend the guard.
okay. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. We've got it up here. Any further objection or discussion? We're good? Okay, motion passes. Any other resolutions? Get them out now. If you don't, that's okay. Go ahead, Carrie.
I have a proposed resolution. Do you want to hear the text of it or just the subject?
How long is the text?
It's very short.
Go for it.
Whereas the Southern Poverty Law Center has defamed the chair of the Libertarian Party and several other great members in an attempt to slow the progress of freedom, be it resolved that the Libertarian Party condemns the SPLC as irrational and repugnant.
That's the flavor.
As though there's an appetite to hear the resolution. I believe it has been moved and everyone has seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, and no objections? Okay, so that motion passes. Whew, okay, our agenda's getting lengthy.
Yeah.
It's 6:48. Be kind. Any other changes to the agenda? We will not steamroll you, just exercise discretion. We good? Okay, so let's take a look at our agenda now. Okay, we've got that. So, going down. Okay. It looks good to me, so no more new business. So now we are going to...
And move to adopt the agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Any objections? Going once, going twice, the agenda is adopted. Okay, let's see.
Is without objection, sorry.
Okay, so I believe where we're at right now is new business without previous notice, which is almost a little bit redundant to amending the agenda, but it is there in case we missed anything. Does anybody have any items of new business? Going once, going twice? Okay, on to the next agenda item. Resolution from Indiana regarding Edward Snowden. Let's get the text up. Who would like to read it?
I'll read it out. Maybe, Madam Chair, maybe Evan McMahon,
Yeah,
who actually
right.
did
Right.
the
I proposed
draft,
it.
could read it for us.
Anybody have any objections to hearing from Evan McMahon?
A point of information.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I would like to ask Evan, if he does read it, if he could insert the desired alteration that he was speaking to.
Certainly.
Yes, please.
All right, if everyone's okay from hearing from Evan, I'd like to hear from Evan.
Would you like me on that side or this side?
Are we filming?
I'm going to film.
Okay.
He's filming from that side, so would you mind if I stand in that corner?
I'm comfortable, yeah,
Okay.
if you're fine with that, I'm fine with that.
And yes, the amended version was sent to the...
Yeah.
Oh, got the new version already.
So, Evan McMahon, Chairman of the Libertarian Party of Indiana. This resolution was proposed by Mr. Greg Nolan, a longtime member of our party. It was completed by our delegation and 100% support. Move to adopt the following resolution. Whereas Edward Snowden did on June 5th, 2013, risk his own life, safety, and security to publicly expose the U.S. government's unlawful, unconstitutional domestic and mass surveillance programs. Whereas a U.S. federal court held that the U.S. intelligence's mass surveillance program exposed by Mr. Snowden was illegal and possibly unconstitutional. Whereas Mr. Snowden tried to raise his ethical concerns on the NSA's mass surveillance program through an internal channel, but was ignored. Whereas Mr. Snowden, the Libertarian Party, and the American people are aware of the brutal treatment by the U.S. government of whistleblowers. Whereas the Espionage Act of 1917, which Mr. Snowden has been charged under, does not account for the illegal and abusive activities conducted by the U.S. government or its direct correlation to the alleged crimes Mr. Snowden has been charged with. Whereas the Libertarian Party has long held and defended the rights of all people to be free from unwarranted and unlawful government surveillance and spying. Whereas the Libertarian Party platform states 1.3 privacy. Libertarians advocate individual privacy and government transparency. We support the rights recognized by the Fourth Amendment to be secure in our persons, homes, property, and communications. Protection from unreasonable search and seizure should include records held by third parties, such as email, medical, and library records.
Therefore, be it resolved that the Libertarian Party calls on President Joseph Biden to grant an immediate and unconditional presidential pardon to the privacy advocate and political prisoner in exile, Mr. Edward Snowden. Be it further resolved that the Libertarian National Committee directs the Libertarian National Committee Chair to submit and publish a formal letter addressed to the President of the United States and sent to the White House and the U.S. Justice Department, calling for the immediate and unconditional presidential pardon to the privacy advocate and political prisoner in exile, Mr. Edward Snowden.
Okay, we've got a resolution, and I believe it needs to be unanimous. Should we take a roll call vote, or are we comfortable just, all right?
Madam Chair, if I may, I'd just like to read the room if we're in the mood to discuss an Oxford comma. Is that a no?
No.
I just noticed there's one missing.
Point of, I'm new to parliamentary procedure. I agree that we should make, if there's grammatical errors, I did not catch any, but we should make sure that it is as
Okay.
of high quality as it can be.
So I don't want to take too much time, but I'd say let's scroll through and slap a comma on it.
And
Come out right here?
That's exactly what.
And then there wouldn't be one here.
Perfect.
Right?
No, there would be.
Yeah, there would be.
Okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, it's three.
That's cool.
There's three sides.
Take it or leave it.
Take it.
I'm flexible.
Is whistleblower one word?
It's hyphenated, I think.
It's one word.
I thought it was one word. It's the same
We're gonna
throughout the
lean-
document.
We're gonna lean on
The
the
word.
grammar check.
Right,
Where is
correct.
it?
Madam Chair,
It says it's
point of
okay.
privilege. This is an amazing declaration. It's amazing also, and how it's forthright, it's blunt, it's to the point, and professional. To me, this represents the kickoff, I think, of the new aggressive messaging of the Libertarian Party. I would ask permission, doesn't have to be included in this, but the United States Senator from Rhode Island is the head of the Armed Services Committee. James Langevin, our congressman, is head of cybersecurity. I would ask for the ability to deliver to them in person a printed on letterhead version of this, and I would encourage everybody in this LNC to hand deliver it to their Congress people, their senators, as soon as possible. Thank you.
Are we good on grammar?
Madam Chair, let's see what everyone thinks. I could clean up the grammar according to our style guide, which is the Chicago Manual style, and also there's certain technical wording, in not wording, but grammar in the way resolutions are supposed to be formatted pursuant to Roberts, and I can do non-substantive grammar changes before I give it to you to put on a letterhead.
Okay, so let me ask you right now, it's been moved and seconded. We have not gone to a vote yet. How would you like me to do this? Would you like me to amend the motion to include a caveat for Karen Ann to make minor grammatical and technical changes that do not impact the phrasing of the resolution?
Yes.
Seconded.
Okay,
Without a.
so moved and seconded. I am sorry that was a motion, but I think we got it. Any objections or further discussions to the amendment? Okay. Okay, all in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Okay, now we'll move to the main motion. All in favor of the main motion? Anyone opposed? Fantastic, passes. Thank
That's a great question.
you. Okay, and thank you very much, Evan McMahon. Okay, so let's see, the next item on our agenda, I believe, is another resolution. Okay, resolution regarding the Defend the Guard. Do we have the text of this resolution?
I don't have it from Scott. I just know I've briefly seen it. I apologize.
Yes. Is everyone okay hearing Renee speak?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I emailed it to LP, secretary at lp.org and John Wilker verified earlier.
Yeah, I don't have access to that email.
So here's what's gonna happen real quick. Can you, on your cell phone, forward that? Do you have Karen Ann's personal email address?
No, I don't.
So let's do a little sidebar here.
While that's being done, I've been informed by a member of my region that this meeting is not streaming. Is that something that's possible or not because of the...
Technical problem?
Yeah, just because of the nature of this meeting.
I think it should be streamed if it's at all possible. And as a compromise, if someone has a cell phone that they could stream it from to literally any place, it would be better than nothing. Do we have any staff in here who has access to the National Libertarian Party YouTube?
We do have staff with access to the National Libertarian Party YouTube. Mr. Kraus, do you think that it is possible to coordinate with AV that stream, or is that not going to be practical on a timetable?
I'm trying to reach Jerry right now.
Okay.
I mean, there's a camera set up here, they're recording it. They should have been live streaming it, so let's see what's going on.
I apologize. I was under the impression when I saw the camera that this was live.
Madam Chair, if in fact, the portion that we recorded, I'd be happy to help afterwards to upload that to the YouTube page and also drop it to the Facebook page.
Thank you. Okay, so let's take a read of the room here. How long, Mr. Nana, how long would you like to wait? Should we continue with business and try to get it up as quickly as possible?
It's up to the body, you know. I just think that it's, you know, somebody brought a concern to me and I figured.
I think it's a reasonable concern.
Yes.
All right. The best I can do to remedy the situation immediately is to live stream it to my own Twitter.
Yeah.
Which I will do.
I may interject, Madam Chair.
Yes.
If the members don't know to go to your Twitter, then it's kind of moot.
They don't. I'm just,
Yes.
well, there is a recording, right? There's already a
Yes.
recording. Okay, so that doesn't matter, so scrap that.
Yeah.
That's kind of annoying too. Okay, so we're gonna proceed, and we have a recording, and it'll be put up, and I apologize that it was not live streamed. We've had an AV issue. Okay, we are looking for the text of the resolution. Here it is.
This isn't about defending the guard, is it?
No.
Oh, yeah, it is, I see it down here.
Okay,
There it
so
is.
now before we proceed, is there someone who'd like to read it out loud? Do we have a veteran?
Yes, please.
Okay, Joshua Clark, please.
Okay. The National Libertarian Party, LNC, supports nullification of unconstitutional federal acts by all sworn to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Those who can and should engage in nullification and interposition include the governors of the 50 states, their legislatures, and their law enforcement officials. Specifically, the LNC strongly opposes U.S. intervention, involvement, and aggression in any and all foreign conflicts where such involvements have been undertaken by executive action absent a formal declaration of war by the U.S. Congress. The states are discouraged from deploying any and all National Guard troops to such foreign conflicts that are undeclared. Oh, here's the actual resolution.
That's the resolution.
That was
Okay.
Here we go.
A resolution to defend the National Guard. Whereas Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution of the United States vests in the United States Congress the exclusive power to declare war. Whereas, in spite of the clear language of the U.S. Constitution vesting the power to declare war exclusively in the U.S. Congress, the U.S. executive branch has unconstitutionally assumed that power while the Congress has abdicated its constitutional duty. Whereas the father of the Constitution, James Madison, wrote, "The Constitution supposes what the history of all governments demonstrates, that the executive is the branch of power most interested in war and most prone to it. It has accordingly, with studied care, vested the question of war to the legislature. Whereas, although the U.S. Congress has not declared war since 1942, the nation has since gone to war repeatedly at the whim of the executive branch. And whereas When such unconstitutional actions are taken by the federal government, it is the proper role of the states themselves to take action to remedy such situations, as outlined in the Kentucky and Virginia resolutions of 1798. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Libertarian Party of the United States of America, as represented by its National Convention delegation and its National Conference of 2022, 1, calls upon the state legislatures to enact legislation to prohibit the state's National Guard and any member thereof to be released from the state into active duty combat unless the U.S. Congress has declared war pursuant to Article 1 and 8, Clause 15 of the U.S. Constitution, and only for the express and explicit purposes enumerated in the Constitution to execute the laws of the Union, repel an invasion, or suppress an insurrection, and calls upon the legislatures of the governors of the states not to comply with any order from the federal government to release the state's National Guard into federal services unless the U.S. Congress has declared war pursuant to Article 1 and 8, Clause 15 of the U.S. Constitution, and only for the express and explicit purposes enumerated in the Constitution, to execute the laws of the Union, repel an invasion, or suppress an insurrection. Further, calls upon the states to bring home said National Guard troops already so deployed to foreign conflicts immediately.
Okay, that's just signatures. Okay, guys.
That's awesome.
Okay. Madam Secretary.
I just want a technical amendment since it's not in, we're not in convention. Can the resolve clause be say resolved that the Libertarian National Committee?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm fine with that. So we're making a friendly amendment right now, or just a little technical change?
I think it's just technical.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm fine with that. Checking how you guys feel. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
Any other grammar or technical things that we absolutely can't live with?
Also, just one, what was read as and after Article 1 in 2 cases should be section.
it's a little section.
It's a section symbol.
It's one of those little weird square
I
things.
withdraw
It's a
my
little tough to read.
Okay. Anybody else?
That was a rookie.
I would say once again I'm asking permission just to format the whereas clauses. There's, Robert, okay, I'm a parliamentarian.
It's fine.
There's certain commas and capitalizations and things that Robert say that it's nothing technical. I mean substantive, it's just how
It's
they
fine.
say.
I agree, and I'm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a friendly amendment to allow Karen Harlos to make some grammatical and minor changes to the resolution that do not change the meaning of the text at all.
Seconded.
Thank you. Now, any further discussion or any objection on the amendment? Nope, okay, all in favor? Okay, all opposed? Okay, so now let's go to the main motion. We're ready.
I just want to say, what an excellent second thing to do to support our new. To support the principles of nullification and supporting the opposition to the use of force in unconstitutional and aggressive warfare. I am so proud of this party. Let's do it.
I would also like to just say that given that we really wanted to present this resolution and it was worded this way because we wanted to pass it through the convention, but unfortunately with the time and compression and with the business the convention wanted to get done, I thank the LNC very much for bringing this, that the convention of the state of Libertarian Party of Texas brought and passed with an incredible show of unity during its convention to this body and pass it on further, in its adoption. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, we're gonna go to a vote.
Oh, I thought for some reason I thought we did.
Not yet.
Okay.
Just amended.
Yep.
Yep,
Vote on the
sorry
amendment.
about that.
Okay, we're gonna vote on the main motion now. All in favor of passing the resolution? Okay, anyone opposed? All right, fantastic, the resolution passes. SPLC.
Fun one. Whoa.
Okay,
Number three.
It wasn't that long, yes.
Okay, you got it. Whereas the Southern Poverty Law Center has defamed the chair of the Libertarian Party and several other great members.
And several other what?
And several other great members in an attempt to slow the progress of freedom, comma, be it resolved that the Libertarian Party,
It's usually Libertarian National Committee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's make the edit.
It's just,
That's fine.
condemns the SPLC as irrational and repugnant.
All right.
Spell it out. You have to spell it
The
out.
Southern Poverty Law Center.
And repugnant.
Oh, I see, I see.
Okay. I guess it can be shortened.
But I'd like to offer a friendly amendment that we don't condemn the organization specifically, but the article itself.
I would object.
Objection.
They're worthy of general.
I don't usually condemn things because I think it's performance art, but I would. I'll engage in performance arts.
I engage in it.
Okay. Any other further discussion?
Just one friendly amendment. Be resolved, whereas the Southern Poverty Law Center has strayed from its origins as a defender of civil rights.
Yes.
Nice.
Thank you.
Will someone second that?
Second.
Okay.
1 second, where do you want that whereas custom, second or first?
Whereas the Southern Poverty Law Center has strayed from its origins.
You want that
Before it has
wording?
to- yeah, before it has to
Okay,
fade.
okay, now you're going to need to say that.
Has strayed from its origins as a defender of civil rights.
Yes.
Maybe we need to use another word for it, no, and has defamed, and just put it right in. And it has defamed the chair of the Libertarian Party.
I think that's fine.
Several other great members.
Yeah. Yep.
Oops, sorry. Max or Weird, you gotta.
We don't have to reverse delete.
Is everybody good with this friendly amendment? Okay, Karen Ann, do you feel that you're going to need to take liberty to make any additional edits?
Probably just to get it into, because I don't have, believe it or not, the technical way Roberts wants. It might.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to point out before we go there. We're one amendment deep. Gonna do one more?
It's actually more of a well, it's an amendment, that's a proviso that just says I can put it into technical compliance.
Before we get too deep into it,
I'll be making a friendly amendment.
because I'll put it all in one, yeah.
Replace several other great with just numerous.
No, they
Madam
said
Chair,
there
one
was,
parliamentary inquiry, there is no such thing as a friendly amendment.
yeah, there.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, you're correct. But we're all friends here.
No, when it was read to me, it was several other great
Yeah, they
members.
called them out by name. It was several, it wasn't the group as a
Yeah.
whole. It was, my recollection was that it was specific individuals.
It was.
I said numerous because I don't think we should necessarily be making a statement on the character of the members defamed.
I think that that is a point well taken. And I won't argue it past that.
So in
And
other
I'm
words,
not
just
gonna have the final say on it.
Is that a motion?
So it's to remove the word great, right? Is that-
To replace several other great with numerous.
No, I would object to this because, if I can be recognized.
Yes.
Because the spirit of this motion is that there are several great, like, at least to many libertarians, these are heroes that are being defamed unjustly. And I personally feel like it should be met with this language that is, kind of a slap in the face to them. I don't know.
We're gonna take another comment here, and then I've got something to say, and then Donovan, and then Dustin. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 3, 4. Go ahead.
I would agree with the amendment proposed by Connor. Sorry, I'm not gonna try to say your last name. I'll learn it. I think that whether or not they are in fact great members, it sets a interesting precedent for the Libertarian National Committee to make a judgment on the character or the quality of members within our party. So I hesitate to go down that road.
So here's what I'm gonna say. This is a resolution. So how many votes does it need?
Because there was no notice, it needs to be unanimous.
Okay, so we're gonna keep discussing this for a little bit, but keep that in your mind. That if we can't come to an agreement on this, which is a bummer, but it's okay, it happens. Someone might want to table it so that we can wordsmith it.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to echo that point in that while I understand we want to come out with guns a-blazing out of this LNC meeting, at the same time, given that we know that we need to wordsmith this, we're, getting late in the evening, we have other business that needs to attend, I would recommend to the LNC that we take this up at our next meeting as part of the agenda, once we've had time to all discuss the word language and so forth that's at hand.
Madam Chair, I think that we can actually solve this with one word change that I've written down here.
Okay.
And that is to change that from several other great to numerous prominent members. Yes. I think that gets everybody's point across and removes the concerns, is my opinion.
Pause real quick. I'm trying to just read the room. Everybody's just like, ugh.
No, I love that.
Okay? You're good?
Well, I'm gonna be that guy. I don't know if it'll prevent me from voting for it or not. I haven't decided, but I am concerned. That's all.
You're concerned, I understand. I want us to come to a decision that we're all comfortable with, but I'm not gonna force it.
I'm open to dropping great. We could say esteemed or we could say nothing. We don't need an adjective.
We could say several other members.
Yeah. With that,
Yeah.
Okay, I want something that people can live with.
So, part of the quality of this is that this was an injustice. And if we just say that there's several members, we're not actually speaking to the I don't know, it doesn't have the quality, and I would maybe support taking this up later and like working through it so that we can get something that we really support together and have the time to do it.
Madam Chair, just one other recommendation. Perhaps instead of not having there, it's well known. I know prominent's a pretty strong word that Dustin may have concern with. However, maybe well known is a less powerful word that still kind of gets the point across.
Okay, let's do Dustin and then Karen Ann.
I've been having my hand up for a while.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I think we all have something we want to provide on this. I'd like to move to table this to our next electronic meeting.
Second.
Second.
So, I think this is a point of information. I don't have my so the AV guys are here to help facilitate the streaming. Do we have access to the YouTube account?
They
I'm gonna defer to our executive director.
Mr. Kraus, can you assist us?
If needed, but they should. They've been YouTubing all.
My understanding is that
we was setting up through the Steam YouTube account from our computer, and your YouTube account has two-step verification. If this computer has access to your YouTube account and already verified, so we can log in. If it's not, so we have to use the two-step verification with the person on the other side.
I think that goes to, however,
I will come over so as not to disturb the meeting.
Okay, so we're gonna let them handle the live streaming and we're gonna proceed. So right now, it's been moved and seconded to table this.
I have a point of parliamentary pickiness.
Okay.
Tabling is not what we're doing. It's moving to postpone definitely.
Yes.
Okay, so,
And Another point of parliamentary pickiness is, I had also had my hand raised up for a while, and I really would like an opportunity to put a comment on the record rather than waiting to the next meeting, since so many other people got to.
Is everyone okay with hearing a comment from Karen Ann? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and I have a problem with removing several other great members. I wouldn't have had a problem with if it never had been there, but now we're in a meeting, and it seems like we're kind of backing away from defending the character of our own members. If it had never been said, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but now that it's been said, it's almost like we're like kind of conceding that maybe they had a little point there about those guys. And now that it's been said, I'm like kind of unmovable on this point, but if it's a 2/3 vote, it won't matter. You know, unanimous would kill it, but I'm not going to add insult to injury to these people who are in this horrible article. As someone who knows the way the internet follows you throughout your whole life, future employers will be Googling this kind of stuff. And I want us to defend our members.
Okay, I've got a comment about that as well, but before I get there, I want to, are we okay with the way Stephen Michaela worded his motion, that we're moving to table?
My intention is to bring it up at the next electronic meeting.
Okay.
That way we have time to workshop this over the next few weeks through email, so that we can come up with a product we're satisfied with, we can vote on at that time.
Would it be in order for you to add that to our next meeting agenda?
I will make such a motion.
Okay. Are we okay voting?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
my concern is this. Right now, we're in the news cycle on this. People are paying attention, right? By responding now forthrightly, even if the wording isn't perfect, we keep it within this news cycle. We have an immediate response, an immediate, if you will, slapback. My fear is in 2 weeks from now, do we regurgitate this back into the news cycle by responding to it?
I agree.
So I support Karen Ann's approach, which is to get out, get it out, get it done.
I'd like to hear from our executive director, if that's okay with everyone.
I appreciate that, thank you, Madam Chair. Our AV company on the issue of the live stream is informing me that it is in fact your computer that is somehow hooked up to the webcam. So not wanting to be disruptive to the running of this meeting, we have two options. Either we could take a brief break while they tinker with whatever that setup is over there, or we could, after the meeting, promptly post the recording that is being made to the YouTube channel so that it can be viewed, none of it being.
My personal preference is to not further disrupt this particular discussion on this.
Yes, that's right. Move on.
Thank you.
Okay.
So in support of what Karen Ann said about this and the timeliness, I wanted to recognize my alternate, Mr. Tunevich.
Just for the committee's information, this is not the first time the Southern Poverty Law Center has taken aim at libertarians. You go to their website on the author of the famous book some years ago, What It Means to Be a Libertarian, Charles Murray, also the author of The Bell Curve. They've got him listed here, ideology, white supremacist. They accuse him of pseudoscience. If you've ever read any of his text, you know it's nothing close to it. So this is not an isolated incident, and this is what sort of turned me off towards them some years ago.
Okay, we need to start wrapping up discussion on this, but I'm not going to cut you off.
Madam Chair, can I ask for, was it in order for me to ask for a poll of
Yes.
who is not comfortable with several other great members?
I think we should do an informal poll.
I've read the room, I will withdraw my proposed language changes.
We're going to withdraw your proposed language changes, but we might have another person, and I'm not trying to make anyone uncomfortable. What I'm trying to do is make us all comfortable. Any other thoughts on this? Because my concern is, if it doesn't pass today, are we going to be able to bring it up at the next one?
We could bring it up by email. It can be renewed at any time by email.
If it gets voted down?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the alternate, but I think we need to hit this, strike this while it's hot. This is great, this is perfect, this is hot.
I'm going to give you two comments on it. One is, so we need to balance, the more attention we give it, the more it goes up in the news. However, if it's already up in the news, it's up in the news. So think about that. So now we've got this we've got a motion to table and it was seconded. So I think we need to go to a vote on that, and if you need to take 5 seconds.
Would it be in order, Madam Chair, to just give a quick comment on this motion to table or
Yes.
to schedule it?
Let's do that.
I'd like to speak against that. I'd also like to echo sentiments about timeliness of our decisions and our messaging.
Okay.
I support that we either pass it today and put the language as is, or not even bring it back.
Okay, so let's vote on the tabling. Everyone's ready to go. Okay. All in favor of tabling? Raise your hand. Okay. All opposed? Okay. So the motion to table fails. And now I believe we are back on the amendment because we didn't vote for an amendment yet. Is that correct?
There's no amendments.
You withdrew it, that's correct. Okay, so then we're back on the main motion. So are we ready to go to a vote on this and live with ourselves and not hate each other's guts? Yes.
I just read the article. I would like to make an amendment, if the body obliges, to include in text, the Libertarian National Committee rejects the false left-right paradigm and embraces its roots as being socially and economically libertarian.
That's not hot, man. I'm sorry. It needs to be hot. That's not hot, that's gibberish.
I think it's pretty obvious that people want to workshop this and it's not going to pass unanimously.
That's right. So I know it's frustrating. Okay, so let me offer you another idea. What if we did this in an email motion, and how quickly would we all be willing to vote on it?
As quickly as possible.
They're willing to go out now, he's not going to go no.
I like it.
Madam Chair,
People are
just
talking and not gonna go
procedurally,
against
the email ballots have to occur using the public list that we do not have, that new members do not have access to.
That's true. Okay. So there wasn't a proposed amendment. I believe it died for a lack of second. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we're back at the main motion. It is now 7:24.
Madam Chair, I'd like to call the question, please.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we're going to a vote.
Calling the question.
It's already
On the amendment?
Was there any objection to calling the question?
No objection, let's go on.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to a vote. If you're in favor of the resolution, please raise your hand. All opposed? Okay. So we're gonna have to workshop it in an email motion. I apologize, but that is what it is. Okay, next item of business.
I'm sorry.
You're okay. Motion to suspend any further disbursements from the line of credit until the next L&C meeting. Mr. Bone, would you like to speak to that?
I would, Madam Chair, thank you. To bring everybody up to date who may not know, the previous board, prior board, passed a motion that authorized staff to apply for a $200,000 line of credit against the assets of the company, not the building, but assets being equipment, inventory, and cash. I believe at that same meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, they also included disbursements of $80,000, I believe, out of that particular account. In the spirit of transparency, I was against that original motion, so I am making this motion and seeking co-sponsors to suspend any further disbursements until this new board can get a better idea of where our finances are and what is, what's going on in the weekly and monthly reports before we disperse any more money.
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Oh. But you're not physically present, so it doesn't work that
I'll
way.
second that, please.
But I'm gonna get, it's okay.
As a point of information, Madam Chair, point of inquiry, actually, Madam Chair. I don't know how many seconds or that we need for this motion.
4 or 5? Is it 5 total?
No, we're in a meeting, we only need one.
We only need one? Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so, yes.
I am in support of this. I have a question. Is this necessary? Because wouldn't we have to pass a motion to take money out of it anyhow? Like, I have no problem doing this, like, and I agree with the motion, but like, are we like just doing this for no reason, I guess is my question.
I'll defer to Mr. Harris, has his hand raised.
Yes.
So I can only speak to my understanding of the motion, and the body may choose to clarify that. But should this pass, we currently have been authorized to take up to 80,000. I am skipping over certain conditions that apply to that, but in total, by the prior motion, there is currently only 50,000. Mr. Kraus may be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that to be correct. So my understanding of this motion would be to preclude any further disbursements of that remaining 30,000 between now and the time of the meeting. If I'd be permitted to ask a piece of information from Mr. Kraus, noting that the date is the 29th of the month, are there any administrative end-of-month functions not related to drawing or not related to new expenditures against that line of credit that this would impact in any way? Robert, do you know?
Not offhand.
Thank you.
Okay, yes.
Madam Chair, if I could just speak briefly as well to the origins of all of this. Folks who weren't on the Libertarian National Committee at the time should understand that the origin of this was specious at best. The entire idea was quote-unquote workshopped in private amongst a small portion of the board. The version that was then presented almost immediately in terms of an electronic vote for ultimate passage without debate, without research, without question, included a great deal more money for unrelated causes other than ballot access and the cash flow of the organization. At which point, members of the previous board objected violently, including myself, to the whole notion. It was subjected then to an interminable meeting that was poorly organized. Information, it was a disaster.
Okay.
I'm begging folks to do what they can do within the confines of our cash flow issues to shut this all down now, completely. Make sure that nothing like this ever happens again, and I know it won't under this board's direction, but never again in this chaotic, disorderly process where it was basically, as we say in Jersey, the bum's rush was put on to try and get money out of our assets without debate.
Okay, Mr. Nikela, and then I'm going to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We approached this loan situation because we were in a cash crunch. The Libertarian National Committee, the way in which we raise money, we tend to make most of our money in the back end of the year. So that is more towards election season. That's when we get the most of our dollars in for the year. So when we make a budget, we don't anticipate that quarterly cash flow. And this is actually something I spoke with Mr. Agopian about. It's something that we need to remedy for the future because we'll find ourselves in the same situation 2 years from now. So the situation that we had, and why we took out this loan, is that we had certain ballot access milestones that we needed to reach in a specific time period that was very urgent. We did not have the cash to reach those goals in a timely manner, and the money we had was tied up in this convention. And we are not allowed to access those funds until convention is closed and until all of our outstanding balances are paid off. So that is when we made the decision to go ahead and open this line of credit in order to pay our immediate balances to go ahead and tackle these ballot access goals, and that's the situation we find ourselves in. I'm not 100% sure where we are in that process. Maybe that's something that Mr. Harris or staff could enlighten us on, but just so everybody's aware, that is why we took out this loan. It's a very cheap loan. We're taking advantage of some of this high inflation through these very cheap loans, at least at the time, and that is the reason why we are experiencing it. But for this board's attention, this is something that we're going to run into again in 2 years unless we remedy this for the future. So just an FYI.
So let me say this. If we go ahead and we pass this motion, and then we find out from our executive director or another staff member that we need the money, what's the mechanism to fix it for an emergency?
Well, Mark, didn't we just get $45,000 today in life membership?
Yes, we did.
The remedy would be to call an electronic meeting within 5 days. We can always do that. But I also would like to speak to the motion. I'm in support of the motion, not even because, like, I'm against disbursements from it in the hypothetical. But I agree with Mr. Ford that the way this is done is almost the fruit of the poisonous tree, and that this board needs to get it all out in the open, because members just, it was bad the way it was handled, and I'm not imputing any kind of, people did what they thought they had to do at the time. But we need to get this out in the open so that members are comfortable with it, because there's just a huge cloud of suspicion over this whole thing. So I would like to suspend any further disbursements, so we have an organized discussion about it in front of members.
Okay. Mr. Elliott.
I agree completely with your sentiments there. However, I believe that we should defer to Mr. Hagopian, who has been much deeper into the potential cash flow circumstances going forward, and preventing the disbursement of these available funds could put the organization in a precarious position, and I trust Mr. Hagopian to manage the any draws against the credit line as being necessary.
Okay, so I'm going to say a couple things. One is, it's 7:33. I think this is important to discuss, but keep the time in mind. And would anyone object to hearing from Todd Hagopian if he's available? Okay, Todd, I see you there. Oh, you're unmuted. Please give us your opinion.
Yes. Obviously, I support this motion. However, if we're going to meet in 2 weeks, and without being able to talk to the executive director and Mr. Krause, I would say that I should instruct them not to spend anything without asking me or without consulting with me, and that way we won't have one of the emergencies that you mentioned, and they know what our will is, and I have already talked to the executive director about this, and he knows where I stand, and I trust that nothing will happen over the next 2 weeks, and then we can do something official once we see how much is going to be released from the convention account. So I think that the motion is well-intentioned, but could cause more problems than leaving it open for 2 weeks, if that makes sense.
Let's do a few more comments and then let's try to move to a vote.
I just want to ask our executive director if he knows, is there anything within the next 2 weeks where we would be making a draw?
I do not believe so. That was sort of in the nature of my request of Mr. Krause, whether there was some effective draw pending that was administrative against funds that we'd already done. I'm not aware of any. I do see Mr. Krause's hand up with indulgence.
Let's hear from Mr. Krause, if everyone, that's okay?
Hi. So just as a reminder, the EC, with a 3/4 vote, can draw on the restricted convention funds. So the EC already approved $15,000 for New York ballot access, so that's a little bit of a relief, right? So we didn't have to pull that out of the loan. I really believe that with the money raised from all you new life members, thank you very much, we could actually pay down some of the loan in the next week or two. So I don't anticipate the need to actually draw any further on the loan at this time. So I think you definitely have a good 2 weeks grace.
Great.
If there was an emergency, we can always go to the EC, and the EC can make that decision to allow us to use those funds.
I will tell you all, my biggest concern is if something were to happen within 5 days, not within 2 weeks, because I can call a meeting very quickly. Okay, Mr. Ford, did you have something?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I did just have a question to clarify Mr. Hagopian's comments. I believe in terms of, when Mr. Hagopian referenced any additional spending, that at least implicitly to me seems to refer to any additional spending that would require a draw against the line. Okay. We will certainly have administrative expenditures over the next few weeks.
Correct. Okay. Are we okay to move to a vote on this? It's a financial matter. Threshold?
It's a majority.
Just a majority, but it's a financial matter. Okay. Do we want to do a roll call or do we want to just do a show of hands? It's money. Anybody?
Hands.
Show of hands.
Okay, we'll do a show of hands. Okay, all in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Okay, we need to take down names, so, or numbers, I'm sorry. Okay, put them up.
Could be Todd was.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All opposed? 1. I am not voting. Okay, motion passes. Thank you, guys. Okay, next item on the agenda. Motion to rescind and expunge from the minutes the censure of Joshua Smith. Ms. Harlow, would you like to speak to your motion?
I certainly would. I think there was a lot, and I'm not trying to get into motives or trashing. I'm just trying to make some things I think that happened last term to set us on a clean slate. If Joshua deserves censure, so did a bunch of other people. So I'm not even speaking to whether or not you thought he deserved it. I think everyone could agree that if he deserved it, a bunch of other people did too. And I want to wipe that slate clean. To me, it seemed like a very vengeful motion. I know that kind of is impute motives, and that's not my goal here. My goal is to set an example to not do these sorts of things in the future unless we're going to be very, very consistent and hold ourselves all to the same standards. And I think the way to do that, the convention took care of what happened to me. And I think we need to take care of this one targeting of Joshua, whether or not you think he deserved it. I'm not even arguing that point. I'm just arguing that it was getting ugly there. And I'm trying to undo some of the ugliness without condemning who, you know, we all have bad days type of thing. But I do think in order for us to start on a good foot here, we need to undo some of that ugliness. So that is the purpose of my motion. I'm not even asking you to disagree or agree whether he deserved it or not. That's not my primary motivation.
I'll second. I rise in support of Ms. Harlow's movement, motion here. There was poison in the air on almost a daily basis. The vitriol was astonishing. And I'm saying not just by members of the public, but by members of this committee who were able to just engage in it at will, willy-nilly, if you will. And yet at the same time, one individual rises up and then becomes just the subject of a kangaroo court as far as I'm concerned. So I love the idea in a sense of just tonight washing this all out of us, moving past all of this, and moving forward with the type of work that we started this meeting out. Just as importantly, though, we need to resolve the issues of the past and put them behind us. This is a great way to do this.
And just FYI, it will require a 2/3 vote because the motion to rescind without previous notice.
Okay, Mr. Nana?
I'm not going to make a motion at this time, but I do have a comment. Maybe for the board's consideration, we would consider not expunging the minutes, not for any other reason other than that, like, I think there should be a record that it happened. I think rescinding the censure, we'd probably get on board with, but there should be record that this took place, because otherwise we're saying, this never happened. And I'm not saying that Josh Smith doesn't deserve that vindication, but what I'm saying is that for our members, history and knowledge of what past boards did, that they should at least know that it happened.
They'll know it happened from the minutes of this meeting.
Oh.
I guess that is a good point. That is a point well taken.
Mr. Elliott?
I apologize not knowing how I'm supposed to formally address. I just have a comment to make. Is that a point of interest?
Go ahead. Yeah, we're in discussion on the motion.
Okay, so I think what we did for Karen Ann was to expunge an unfair black mark on her record that could have been found by potential future employers or whatever. I believe that we're trying to do the same thing for Josh, correct?
Well, I'm not making any claim that it's affected his life. I don't know whether it has, but I do believe it's affected this party.
And so in that spirit, I support the goal of your amendment.
Okay, Bobby?
Would it be appropriate to recognize Dr. Lark? He has his hand raised.
Yes, if everybody here is okay with that. Okay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would actually like to second Mr. Nana's comment. I think it is perfectly appropriate for this board to deal with the matter. And by the way, I was not on the board last term. I do not know the particulars involving Mr. Smith's censure. I think that any time, though, that you go back and actually expunge material from minutes, that's a very bad business. I do realize that rescind and expunge is in Robert's rules. Interestingly enough, Mr. Brown actually wrote about that particular issue in 2014. I don't know if he has any particular comments and the board would like welcome. I would urge that you exercise great care in expunging material from adopted minutes. By the way, were the minutes formally adopted by the previous LNC?
No, they happened in January, and I don't believe at the the meeting happened in January. The draft minutes came out a few days last week, and I don't believe they were approved at the pre-convention meeting.
Because if they were not approved, it's a different issue. If they were approved, then again, I would exercise great care in expunging material from minutes. Thank you.
They were approved via email, I am almost certain.
Okay, there you go. So, I am hearing a few concerns that this is getting into revisionist history, and I understand that's not something I like, but Karen Ann has also made a point that it'll be in these minutes. Karen Ann?
Yeah, no, I think people, you know, and I'm, with all wonder, like, I adore Dr. Lark, but the expunging is a statement. That's the way Roberts describes it. It's not trying to revise history. It's a way for the board to express disapproval of the action without expressing disapproval of the people. It's a way to officially say as an organization that this was something bad that happened in our history and we would like it not to be there. It's not revisionist. It's a strong expression of disapproval without censuring the people who did it, which just leads into an endless cycle of I'm going to censor, you know, censor, censor, censor. I think this is a way to express our disapproval but leaving the personalities out of it.
So I think that we have heard most of the arguments for and against. I would like us to go to a vote, if everybody's comfortable with that.
Madam Chair, but can I make a brief statement?
Yes, if that's okay with everybody, we'd like to hear from you.
That both Dr. Lark and Ms. Harlow are correct, but expunging it from the minutes does not physically remove it. It remains there, but it becomes basically a strong disapproval of what happened. But it is not physically deleted from the minutes. It still remains.
Right.
Okay.
Which my concern was only about like that this is actually a really important part of our history that we need to learn from. That we had a poisonous leadership situation that is the reason we're all here, and that I do agree that we should, with this information, I believe that we should move ahead and do this because it makes a real statement.
I move the question.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so this requires a 2/3 vote. Is that correct?
Well, the calling the question.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Are there any objections to calling the question? Okay, going once, going twice. I'm going to say the question has been called. So now, let's go to a vote. Would you prefer to do a roll call vote or a show of hands? Now, Secretary, what's easier on you?
Right now, because I don't have all my templates set up, if we do a roll call vote, I can note the names, but I'm fine with a show of hands as well.
Okay, so let's do a show of hands and you'll let me know.
Okay.
Okay. So all in favor of the motion to
rescind and expunge from
motion to rescind and expunge from the minutes the censure of Joshua Smith. Please raise your hand. 14. All opposed? Any expressed abstentions? Okay, 14-0, motion passes. Did I count that right?
Yes.
Okay, making sure. Got it. Okay, next agenda item.
Appoint the executive committee.
Okay,
Because there might be an emergency that comes up before we meet again, usually at the initial meeting, the executive committee is appointed. The executive committee, and I hope somebody's got note cards, because this is usually by ballot unless there's very few people who want it. But anyway, I hope there's note cards or pieces of paper. I'm going to pull up the policy manual. Executive committee is the 4 officers. How come it doesn't have a number here? It looks like something got deleted.
No, you had it and then you scrolled up.
Oh, okay, sorry, right,
Keep
one
going,
second.
keep going, executive.
because I'm trying to find it too.
Oh, no, but it says plus any number of LNC members excluding
Yeah, and it's
alternates.
also LNC chair selected, so like, she is within her rights to not have a
Wait,
ballot.
no, that's the chair selection. Member selection is by the LNC. I don't know what.
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah,
Somebody, this is a weird edit because the LNC chair is automatically the chair of the executive committee. I don't get why, but anyway, traditionally it's been 3 additional LNC members in addition to the 4 officers. I could have sworn it said 3 in there, but it says any number.
I also thought there was a number.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 3. I don't.
The last time I looked at it, it's been a few months, it was 3.
Yeah.
So,
Every executive committee I've been on has been 3.
LNC chair selected.
No, the LNC selects the members. It says chair is selected by you, but I assume you're selecting yourself
Okay.
the chair of the executive.
So let's get some ballots circulating, paper in the meantime.
Hold our parliamentary inquiry.
Yes.
Would we be able to look into the edit history of this document?
Not easily here.
Yes.
If the plan is to do 3, I think we're safe regardless. I would argue we should do 3. 7 is an odd number, which is good, so that you don't end up time votes are odd. And if you're gonna do something else other than 3, I would suggest 5, which would be another odd number, the next closest one.
But the executive committee is supposed to be small because they meet on a dime.
And I agree with that.
So I'm comfortable with 3, because we're already at 7.
Angela, 3 is great, but are there 3 people here that insist upon it? Just give it to them.
No.
We're not
Yes, I
gonna
would
vote.
like
Well,
to.
3 people that say they want to do it.
We're gonna open nominations. Okay, nominations are open right now.
I would like to serve.
Dustin Manna nominates himself. I would like to nominate Brian Elliott.
I accept. I'd like to nominate Rich Bowen.
Any other nominations?
Were you self-nominating, Mr. Ford?
Well, I'll self-nominate too, but I'd like to be on it.
So right now, we've got Dustin Manna, Brian Elliott, Rich Bowen, and Pat Ford.
You may not want to say, but it's traditional usually for the LNC also to ask the chair if they have an executive committee in mind, that if they have a preference. That's usually been traditional, but you don't have to say that if you don't wish, but I am asking.
I just made my nomination, and that was the one
Okay.
nomination I was gonna make.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we've got 4 names. Yes.
I'll nominate myself.
Okay. Okay, we've got 5 names. In the meantime, has anybody started circulating ballots?
No.
Okay, let's do that just for the sake
Can
of
somebody assist from the audience?
I can, sounds like
Give everyone one, I guess.
This is-
Yeah.
Madam Secretary or Madam Chair, will this be or?
That's a good question. Historically, how do you count the votes?
It's usually pick your 3.
Yeah. Approval.
I think that's reasonable.
Well, I guess not approval. It'd be approval if you count it as a vote for the amount of seats that exist.
But Right, it's kind of the same thing.
Okay, so voting instructions are to put 3 names. Up to 3. Up to 3. You can put Noda, you can put 0, be the same. You can turn in a blank card, although that would make me double count the cards.
You do need to sign them because I will need them back for the minutes.
Okay.
Legibly. If you can't sign legibly, please handwrite your name.
So you don't want a signature? Is that-
Yeah, handwrite your name.
Handwrite your name.
Sorry. All right, who's collecting?
I'll get it for you.
And who's counting?
You're one of the voters.
Yeah, it needs to be an audience.
No, I'm an alternate. I'm an alternate, so.
Give me your card.
Are you taking the votes?
I'm taking the votes, right?
Yeah.
No votes here?
Do you need a blank card to do like a colors tally?
Yes, we probably did. That's a vote?
Yeah.
And you, sir, are counting?
Yes.
Here's the county card.
Okay, we need to appoint APRC. Let me pull that up because there will be communications going out in the meantime that we'll need to go through. It's no more than 5 members, all LNC members. The members are selected by the LNC. The committee selects its own chair. And we've usually had 5.
Madam Chair, just because this was listed elsewhere for the executive committee, it says LNC members, but the executive committee specifically excluded alternates. Is it my assumption that this would include alternates?
It's always included alternates.
Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair, the indulgence of the board, Starshow just had a quick comment about the executive committee.
Okay.
And I'd like him to address the board if there's no objection.
Does anybody have any issue with it? And how are we on time?
This one's not signed on. One of these isn't signed.
Might be mine, I didn't sign one.
Is there any objections then while he's going to go?
I'm sorry.
Cool.
I always
We're all learning.
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready for you folks.
So yeah, I just was pointing out that you aren't obligated to select an executive committee if you don't want to. It can have the effect in some cases of kind of disenfranchising the rest of the LNC, because what you're basically doing is appointing a subset of people who have the power to act for the entire committee. Sometimes, there is time-sensitive matters where you want some way to take action quickly. But one of the great things about the beginning of a new term is to kind of have the opportunity to rethink things, to kind of start with a blank slate and think, well, ideally, how do we really want to set these things up? The language being quoted from is the LNC policy manual, which you all probably want to try to make yourselves a little bit familiar with. But those are not guidelines. They're guidelines basically the LNC creates for itself, and they've accumulated over time. But you could, if you wanted to, wipe the entire LNC policy manual clean and start with a blank slate. Those things are not bylaws that you're absolutely bound to. And so I just, wanted to kind of let you folks know that, and that you can have the option of thinking outside the box, or you could have a rotating executive committee rather than 5 or however many permanent people. You know, there are different ways to handle this.
Okay, thank you, Star Child. Okay, so while votes are being counted, would anyone mind if we move on to the next agenda item? Is there any objection? Would you like me to make a formal motion?
No, just do it.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's open nominations for, I believe it's APRC.
What's that?
I can explain it a bit if you'd like, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
APRC stands for Advertising Publication Review Committee, and I'd like to just explain a little bit some of the stresses of this committee, because when I say it, maybe some people thought they might want to be on it, might not, and other people might go, wow, I want to have to answer emails 24 hours a day. They review all communications except for social media. It used to be social media. Before they go out. So if there's going to be emails or letters going out to party members, or even edits to the website, it goes through the APRC first. And the APRC reviews it for compliance with our platform, our bylaws, and then there's a catch-all phrase, tending to harm the good image of the party. And you really need to be tied to your email, because staff, when they finally get something ready, it needs to go out. You usually have to respond within a couple hours. No, you don't get it at 2 in the morning. It's generally during business hours. But once there's 3 approvals, it goes out. So if you didn't like it, you snooze, you lose. And a majority vote of the APRC can disallow any communication. There's also a clawback provision for social media and things like that, where the APRC can rule things, look at things after the fact and report to the LNC that they're recommending something get clawed back. I don't think that's ever happened in my time on the APRC. I've been on it since 2016. But it's a super important committee, and you really have to know our platform and bylaws really well, because those are usually the grounds on it. So.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me do Mr. Michaela.
Yeah. I want to nominate Karen Harless for the APRC.
Okay, point of inquiry.
How many members?
5.
5, okay. I have a nomination.
Okay.
I'd like to nominate Pat Ford. Pat Ford is, had press credentials for the convention, and is one of our best communicators, and it is his business. So I strongly support Pat Ford.
Okay.
I would like to nominate my alternate, Mr. Nepomuceno.
Okay.
I'd like to nominate David Bennett.
Okay.
Inquiry?
Yes.
This is for review, but not generation.
Correct. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to nominate Carrie Eiler. Right now we have Karen Ann Harlows, Pat Ford, Connor Nepo, Dave Benner, and Carrie Eiler. Any other nominations? Okay. So it needs 5 spots, and we've got 5 people who are willing to do it. Oh, I gotta say that Joshua Smith wants to be nominated for this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And he's not here.
I will nominate Joshua Smith.
Yes.
Okay. I do not want to shut him down because it's a family zone. Okay. So I'm sorry, we do have 6 and we're gonna have to go to the ballot.
Madam Chair, is it appropriate at all, because this is, it's really a specialty committee, that each person could have like 30 seconds to speak to their nomination?
I don't mind, as long as we move really quickly, because it's getting late, it's after 8 o'clock. So if you take 30 seconds or less, I would love you a lot. Are there any other nominations? Because I'd like to close nominations.
I move nominations to close.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any objections? Going once, going twice, nominations are closed. Let's hear from everybody, and let's go in the list in the order that it's listed on the screen.
Okay, I've been on the APRC since 2016, and you may find this a plus or not. Stephen Nicola could attest to this. I've been pretty much the Dr. No on the APRC. But some of the communications that have gone out Some of them you may not like. All I can say is you should have seen the first version, and this isn't a criticism of staff. They're under the gun. But when there's one no, they try to improve it, and a lot of times they do cure the objection. So if you want someone that's not going to rubber stamp everything, and is really thinking, what are the members going to think about, you want me.
Okay. Let's just keep going down the line.
Yeah, for those of you I haven't met, shame on me, but my name is Pat Ford. I've been involved with the LPTV effort for a number of years, hoping to get back right on the air after the convention proceeds. I work full-time in the media. I have my own media company that focuses on libertarian messaging. I do that 7 days a week. So my spidey senses on social media and the news cycle are very well tuned. I'm on this professionally 6-7 days a week anyway, so it's actually, of all the assignments, this would be my first love and challenge, and I look forward to working with Karen Ann, because in a lot of ways she's one of the conscience of the party.
Next.
Yes, hello everyone, Connor Nepo from Michigan. I specifically sought to join the LNC for this position as I've had tremendous experience managing the Libertarian Party of Michigan social media. I have a passion for the platform committee and working on the language. And I also have experience in my professional career dealing with my coworkers and my superiors in the offices of giving feedback and providing creative and concept development for people. So my talents would not be wasted on this.
Okay, Dave Dunn.
Yeah. Dave Dunner from Tennessee. I absolutely want to join this committee too. This is my primary passion. I run the LPTN communications and very proud of our Twitter account. I've also been very picky and sometimes critical of some of the messaging that's gone on in the past. I absolutely carry that same kind of candor into this office, and I'd ask for your vote.
Okay, Gary Riley.
I'm so grateful that Angela asked me to consider this role. I'm happy to do that. I have about 20 years of experience in working with promotions. I've written my fair share of copy in that time. I worked for companies you may have heard of, like Initiative Media and Nestle. And I'd be happy to help and learn more about our bylaws and become an expert in all of that, so that I can do a good job.
Thank you. Okay, and Josh, are you here listening? If so, feel free to speak.
I am here, and I don't know if everyone can hear me or not, but thank you for giving me the opportunity. This is a committee that I spent the last 4 years trying to get on and getting shut out of every time. It's no secret that messaging is very important to me, and I have not been the happiest with the messaging coming from the National Party. I think this gives me a unique opportunity to be a part of that and kind of help craft what goes out and have a say in that. I also have a unique ability at my day job where I spend 12 hours a day able to take emails. And this position requires you sometimes to have a time-sensitive response to messaging that needs to go out quickly. So I have the time and the opportunity to do that even when I'm at my day job. So I would really appreciate your consideration for this. I've been purposely shut out of this position for a long time. So I feel like I finally have the opportunity to go. So thank you guys so much. Sorry I couldn't be there. I miss you guys.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, everyone. So,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Madam Secretary, could you put the names back on the screen, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, so.
Thank you, buddy.
Our secretary is going to put the names back up on the list.
I can do the counts right here.
Okay, got it. So the vote totals have come in for the executive committee, and she is going to post this. And our tellers, Martin Cowan.
Here I am. I'm just collecting.
Cowan is collecting ballots. If anybody else has a ballot to turn in, no pressure.
And how many ballots did we have? Because it does need a majority, because we didn't suspend that. There's 15 ballots, only Mr. Elliott and
Yeah, I'll give
Mr.
it-
Bowen got a majority.
Okay.
Would it be in order to suspend the rules to elect Stephen Nikela as the highest vote getter?
Yep.
So we don't have to do another ballot?
I believe that motion is in order.
I would second that motion.
It will be second. Okay. Mr. Ford seconded it. I feel better about it. Okay. Any discussion on that motion? Shall we go to a vote? Okay, by a show of hands, all in favor? Okay, all opposed? Okay, thank you guys, we've elected our executive committee. Where is Mr. Cowan?
Here I am.
Okay, there we go, there's your time.
You stand up to our counter, who's this gentleman?
Okay. Okay.
Advertising committee?
Yeah,
I got one more, sorry.
One more ballot, can come down here into the teller. Okay, so I believe that while those votes are being tallied, we can move on to, is it the next to last item? It's the next to last item, I'm so sorry. To appoint the HPC chair, that is the Historical Preservation Society. Mr. Ford.
I move to nominate Karen Ann Harlos.
Second.
Third. I move to vote her in with the clans.
Second.
Anybody else? Any other nominations? Okay. I would love to just move straight to a vote on this. Any discussion?
No.
Going once, going twice. Okay, all in favor of appointing Karen Ann Harlos, Chair of the Historical Preservation Society, please raise your hand. Fantastic. Anyone opposed? Fantastic. Thank you. Congratulations, Karen Ann. You are our chair of that committee now.
And just FYI to anyone who's interested in being on the committee, the policy manual says the HPC chair appoints the rest of the committee, which is why it was so important to get that done so we can continue with LPDA, which has to keep going.
Okay. And now, the next item on the agenda is appoint a temporary assistant treasurer. If it's okay with everyone, I would like to allow Mr. Hagopian to also provide some comments since he's the treasurer. Take it away.
All right. I do not necessarily have a person in mind at this moment. I would like to ask one clarifying question from maybe Ms. Harlos. Can this person be on the LNC, or does this have to be somebody off of the LNC?
It can be either, and it doesn't have to be temporary either. It's, sometimes in the past we put out a call for applications, but the FEC requires us always to have one. So temporary is optional. We can appoint someone permanently today, and they can be on the LNC.
There you go.
Okay. At a minimum, I would like to ask Brian Elliott to be my temporary assistant.
I accept, and just for everybody who doesn't know me, I have 35 years of carrying apart financial statements for a living, and Todd and I have communicated some prior to this, but I'm highly confident that I can help him and we can get to the point where finance is not a fire.
Okay. So now I'm going to take a couple comments. Mr. Nana.
So he has how he has a preference on it.
Okay.
Same.
Good. Okay. Anybody else? Any further discussion? Connor.
I would like to proposition someone. Would it be possible to have, for the position, would it be possible to have multiple people? Because I have someone very talented in mind, but I wasn't aware of this before.
Well, this is temporary right now. The LNC could always, solicit applications and then move to a vote on permanent.
Disregard my comment.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I would say that I view this as a very temporary assignment as well, given the other obligations that I've agreed to undertake.
Okay.
So that you're very much in.
So it sounds like we have a good short-term and maybe even long-term plan. Okay, so.
Oh, God.
Since Todd is not physically present, I'm going to make the motion to appoint Brian Elliott as the temporary assistant treasurer.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, let's go to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, all opposed? All right, the motion passes, fantastic. And was that simple majority? That's what I thought, okay. The next item on our agenda is administrative announcements / requirements by secretary.
Okay, I know we don't all, do you have any idea when we're gonna get our email addresses?
I was actually gonna, after the meeting, ask if you had a list, and if not, then could probably compile one pretty quickly of the personal email addresses of those who need to have their LNC email addresses set up.
Perhaps
That
we
would
should
be
pass a piece of paper
Yeah, if we
around?
could get a very clearly printed name and personal email address, and then staff would facilitate that.
Okay,
Existing email addresses stay in place?
Returning LNC members who already have an email address, your LNC email address should still be in place.
yeah, this is just for new.
You want it on the list anyway?
No, if you already have an email address, it doesn't go away, yeah. So, my personal email is karenannharlos@gmail.com, easy. I need you, as soon as possible, even if you don't have your LNC email address up, to start compiling your potential conflicts of interest. Those are supposed to be done right away. It's been very subjective, what is that, but if there's anything you think you probably should say, it doesn't disqualify you, it just puts people on notice of potential conflicts. And what people have put on there is, your roles you may have in your state party or your county party, because one day we might be discussing issues with your state party or your county party, or other organizations. People put caucuses down, but it has been very subjective. But I can tell you, my advice is to over-disclose and not under-disclose. And I think I know this is going to sound somewhat snarky, but I think you all can forgive me for being a little gun-shy. I think everyone here knows I have a monetized YouTube channel, okay? And I was elected with everyone knowing that. Okay, thank you. But if you have a monetized YouTube channel, that's probably something you'll want to include on there. Once you have your official email address, I will be sending you out these little training packets that I wrote a while ago that are just tips for new LNC members, like how email ballots work and things like that. That will be helpful for you, and I have a few for regionals as well, because some things are a little bit more specific to that. So, yeah, that, and copy of the policy manual, even though it's on the website. I like to send everyone a copy of the platform, the policy manual, and the bylaws, which you should become very, very familiar with. And also to invite you, if you have any questions at all. My first, history is my first love in the party, and my second love in the party is education. So there's no such thing as a dumb question. I like mentoring new LNC members, and it helps me write better tip sheets for the future when I see what kind of questions keep coming up.
So, speaking of questions, someone raised an issue to me that we should be doing roll call votes for main motions. Is that correct?
Yes.
It is correct.
Okay. So we've done a lot of motions, and we have done them by a show of hands.
And they've all been unanimous.
This is,
not all of them.
I voted against hamstringing the CFO.
So here's what we've got. I remember that Mr. Nana did not vote in favor of the SPLC resolution, and I remember that Mr. Elliott did not vote in favor of the financial motion. Did I miss any other votes? I am sorry to dump more work on you.
No, that's easy enough. That's why I'm doing a recording as well.
Okay.
Because I don't have all my forms set up right now, and I'll recreate it so that people's names are
Madam Chair,
associated.
I abstained from the financial.
Yeah, I was about to
Okay.
mention that.
Okay, this is what I'm going to ask everyone. I do have it on a recording, but when these draft minutes come out, which will be next week, if there's something I need to tweak, if you remember on that recreation, let me know and we'll fix it so the record is clear.
Okay.
Point of order or just information. So should that go to your personal email, the Gmail that you just gave us a few minutes ago, or should that go to your LP?
I don't have access yet, so
Oh, that's right, you're new too, yeah.
I'm returning from exile. But if you send it to my personal and it turns out I have access, I'll just forward it over to my secretary. So probably sending for personal right now is the best. When I start responding to you from the other one, then you guys know it's safe.
And to be clear, it's just your name with no
It's my whole name, no
periods.
periods, KarenAnnHarlos@gmail.com.
Okay. Where are we at?
Set electronic meeting date for consideration of Bowen resolution.
Pull out your calendars. Now, I would like to do it in about 2 weeks. Doesn't have to be exactly 2 weeks, but it should be close.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I don't know what, right now, because by FYI, I do want to just openly disclose this. People knew I was the parliamentarian for for Brody Elwood and the Cordio board. My resignation as their parliamentarian was effective at adjournment sine die because I felt that would be a conflict of interest. They have a new parliamentarian. I don't know what kind of advice the new parliamentarian is going to be giving them, but they were told by the JC to refile an appeal right away. I think 2 weeks is far too long because they need an answer, and I don't know what their parliamentarian is going to tell them, but they could prejudice their rights if too much time goes on. And this has been going on a long time. I want us to have a meeting as soon as possible on this issue.
Okay. So we've got the Massachusetts motion that we're going to need to deal with, that issue, whatever the motion is going to end up being. And then we've also got potentially some financial stuff. Do we need to have another meeting as an end result of the motion that we passed regarding the loan? Anybody? Yes.
I don't think so, but I do have a motion for a meeting date.
Okay. Let's hear it.
I'd like to motion for our next LNC electronic meeting to be held 7:30 Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, the 5th of June.
And it's specifically just for this consideration of the Bowen resolution?
Well, I think we could open it up and include, well,
That's going to be, there's
it's
going to be
gonna
a lot of
hefty.
people who want to talk.
Yeah, then I think it'll be
This is
just for
gonna be
this
a long
consideration.
Are we going to consider,
Prepare for
open
all.
up the amendment that we talked about that needed to be workshopped amongst us?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
No, I really, this was, I mean, we could add that, but my motion, well,
I think probably just that, because this is gonna drag out.
I think that that's reasonable. So there's 3 things in the hopper here. Massachusetts, resolution, and if there's any financial matters, I want everyone to be comfortable with the way we deal with it, which I prefer to be a meeting, not an executive committee meeting. If it's an emergency, we'll handle it, but I don't want to start off business that way. And you think that we're not going to need a motion for any financial stuff. Brian?
Sorry, repeat the question?
You're not going to need a motion to deal with any financial stuff because we're trying to not spend any more money. What was the phrasing of the motion that we passed?
The phrasing for this motion?
No, for the
financial.
suspend
That's
access.
the next LNC meeting.
It was suspend access to the line of credit.
So it basically suspends access to the line of credit until June 5th, because that's the next LNC meeting. Unless I'm reading that
I mean,
wrong.
if that was the first item of business, we could probably dispense with that pretty quickly, I would hope, if we felt like
We don't even have to
something.
put it on the agenda, I'm just saying,
Right.
that's how it was phrased.
Sure.
As the new assistant financial officer, treasurer, my understanding is that in a 2-week window, but again, I defer to Mr. Hagopian on this, but informal discussions have indicated to me that we don't have a potential cash flow problem over the next 2 weeks. Therefore, I would argue that it does not need to be on the agenda, and if we do have a financial emergency, that we can handle it on a next basis. However, actually, are we, given that we passed that resolution, if we do have a problem, how do we resolve the problem if we do have to access this credit line?
Executive committee.
Okay.
Privilege motion. I have to step out for Region 2, Martin Cow.
Okay, let me do Nana and then Mr. Crump.
So it's a question and then possibly an amendment to the motion? Are we able to do it on Saturday? I ask because I work Sunday nights, and if this meeting does drag, I would like to be able to attend all of it. Would the body be okay with doing it on June 4th at 7:30, or any time that works for the body?
I don't have a conflict, but I want to hear from everyone else.
So just to kind of address that, because it relates to what I was going to say, looking at my calendar, which obviously we don't have to go around, but I have a hospital day scheduled for Erie on the Sunday, and then a birthday for a baby on the 4th. But the 12th is wide open, and I know this corner, the 12th looked really good. I know that's another week out. But if we wanted to keep a Sunday, again, I know that may not work for your situation.
So I can't do the 11th, I'll throw that out there. And I know that they want it to be soon. So informal poll, show of hands who can do Saturday the 4th. No judgment. Okay, informal poll by show of hands who can do Sunday the 5th. Okay, so I want someone to
just do it earlier.
make an amendment. We got a couple options: make an amendment or call the question. But let's hear from Mr. Harris first.
I may be able to arrange for somebody to cover it, but just and the committee may choose to consider this or not. But I am very likely to be unavailable to support the committee in an online meeting on the evening of Saturday the 4th.
Okay.
I would be the 5th.
Could we amend it to be earlier than 7:30 then, so that I really would like to be there. I was on the last board, I'm familiar with this issue.
What time would you need?
I mean, anything helps, anything earlier, the longer it is earlier, the longer I'll be able to be there. I mean, like, if you did it at like 5, I would hope that it doesn't go long enough that I'm able to stay there the whole time.
What's your cutoff date, or time?
So I work at 10 p.m. It's better if I can jump off around 9, but if I have to stay on, I will. I just, I want to be able to give the meeting my full attention. I think it's a very important issue. But I am only one member.
Is this a motion to amend it to 5 p.m.?
I don't want to make an amendment that messes up other folks' ability to attend.
Well, I'm reading the room right now, and there's a couple of people who might not make it, but I'm not seeing any protests or anybody throwing.
5 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
The 5th. Sunday. Sunday at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Eastern.
Did I hear a second?
I did.
Okay, do we need any more discussion, or should we go to a vote? Going once, going twice. Okay, we're going to a vote, and it's gonna be...
On the amendment?
Yes. All in favor of the amendment? All opposed? Fantastic. Okay, now we're gonna go to the main motion, as amended, which is to have an electronic meeting to consider the Bowen resolution from last term on June 5th, 2022 at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern. All in favor? You can raise your hand, but this is going to be recorded as a roll call vote. All opposed? Any express abstentions? Okay, you can put me as not voting.
Yeah, I usually do unless just.
Okay. Motion passes. It passes. What's left on the agenda?
Adjourn?
No, the next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just kidding.
Voting results on the,
Well, we need to report, APRC results, and I think you were
Oh, do we
meeting
have
a
them?
physical meeting here.
Oh, great, so let's report those results.
Do I have them?
Yes, that's the paper, right?
This one?
The
Or?
paper and the cards I put in front of you, or next to you. I think it's the one on your right.
Oh, no, this is the old one. I'm sorry, I didn't realize there were, never mind, I'm scribbling all over it. All right, let me put a D on there. And we will put the levels here.
personal privilege while she's putting that in, Madam Chair? Just so everybody knows, there are going to be, as the chair, there are going to be other committees that need to be filled. I just want to let everybody know that the 2021 audit is completed. I don't know if everybody got it in time, and probably the new members may have not gotten it. However, from a logistical standpoint, there actually is no more audit committee because the last committee actually disbanded at the closing out. So it's just something to keep in mind. That means that there is a audit report out there that is just floating around right now, and there are no issues. I was on the previous audit committee with Mr. T over there and Dr. Buckman. So it's not an urgent matter, but it is just something I want everyone to keep in mind.
Thank you.
Question?
Yes.
Were there any, forget the exact terminology, but any adverse events out of the audit?
It was a, I gotta get the word right, unqualified opinion. So it was fine. There was one significant deficiency. Significant deficiency in audit terms is the least lethal of problems for those of you that don't, aren't familiar with audit procedures.
And what was the area of that deficiency?
Just a couple of postings, immaterial postings to net assets. Net assets. Okay. Right. So it was nothing good as far as the audit committee is concerned.
So when it comes to other committees, we're going to have to discuss that more thoroughly through email and the discussion list so that we can get an application process out and have that be something that people can actually apply to.
I'll compile for you and the appointments that are coming up, whether they're LNC members, non-LNC members, and start to get that in the works.
Okay, so we'll get to work on that in the meantime. So, okay, so we have the results posted. Would you like to read them?
Yes, certainly. The 5 persons who received the majority were myself, Pat Ford, Connor Nepo, David Benner, and Joshua Smith.
All right, thank you. We have our APRC meeting elected. Thank you very much. Okay, oh my goodness. Down here, set date and location for next meeting. Yes, Mr. McKay.
So would like to ask Tyler, how's weather in DC in a few months?
I am far from a meteorologist, but the weather in DC may be cost effective in a few months.
Very nice. I would like to make the recommendation to my colleagues to consider DC as an option, considering we do have our headquarters in Virginia. Be a great opportunity to not only cut down on travel expenses for staff, but also see our headquarters and get to see our actual, DC area and what we do in person.
Agreed. Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
I'll second it.
I don't have a date for it, but the location, I'll make a motion.
Yeah, we should ask.
May I suggest
How far from now is it?
August 20th, which is approximately 3 months from today.
What day of the week is it?
I'm sorry, what day?
It's a Saturday.
So
You
it's
said-
Saturday and a Sunday.
Yeah, the weekend, I'm sorry, the weekend of August.
August 6th and August 7th?
I said the 20th, but I'm amenable to that.
That's fine. August 20th. I'm sorry, I just didn't hear you. August 20th and 21st?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, so pull out your calendars.
I'm sorry, this is for a physical meeting of the
Physical
LNC
meeting.
in DC
We gotta
area?
fly over there. Now, those of you who are fairly new or unfamiliar with the building will not hold us. Just, we're gonna have to set up a meeting elsewhere.
It's usually the hotel next door.
There you go.
Question, would anyone be objectionable to moving it to the 27th?
Yes, I have a central committee organizational meeting in the state of Ohio that weekend I would be unable to attend.
I'm good with the 13th and the 14th, I'm good with the 20th and the 21st.
I'm good with the 6th.
You're good with the 6th?
I'm good with every weekend except for the 27th. So.
Okay,
Motion to amend to the 13th and 14th? Would that work for everybody?
No.
Is that what you said,
It's
13th?
not-
No, it's 6th and 27th.
and
Oh, never mind. Take it back.
Mr. Blankenship is already gonna have an issue with our meeting on June 5th, so if we ram it through, and try to find something we can make.
Does the 6th not work for others?
Begging personal indulgence, I will be on the East Coast at the beach and be leaving on the 7th, and would love to drive down to DC from there rather than drive across the country and then fly back on short notice, but that's just me, and I don't want to get in the way, but that's my situation. We're committed to driving, and I got to drive back or stay east. And
What hotel is right next door?
I don't know the name of it, but it is right next door.
Okay, Mr. Blankenship, what day were you not available?
The 13th and the 20th.
So
I have prior commitments those weekends.
should we move it out of August then?
Was there, I'm sorry, was there a problem with the 6th for some?
Yeah, free.
I
would
would
do the 6th.
Yeah, the 6th.
Okay.
Every weekend in August.
How many days? Let's literally count the days that we've got to, we need to have this within 90 days, am I correct?
We can have it earlier.
I don't think there's a,
No?
I don't, let me.
Okay, let's double check.
I have the bylaws up here. I don't think there's actually, it's
Oh.
been traditionally
Well,
every
if
quarter.
that's the case, what about the last weekend of July?
Because what I'm trying to avoid, by the way, is setting this meeting, and then our next meeting is gonna be 3 months out, and I don't want that on Thanksgiving weekend. And if it's gotta be in December, so be it, but if we could have it in November before Thanksgiving, that would be really cool. And that would be probably also much better for us to do fundraising at. Let's think about all the factors.
July 30th is my next personal suggestion.
July 30th over here,
Just keep in
Mr.
mind.
Harris, and then, sorry, I'll jump
No,
in.
go ahead.
Well, credit where it is due for a good idea would go to Mr. Kraus. Since the committee is now considering dates in July, I would observe that Freedom Fest is in July, and maybe a location where a large number of staff will already be present, as well as possibly members of the committee.
Madam Chair, just first of all, I don't have any conflicts, so you don't need to worry about me, but I have to use the restroom. And I cannot wait.
Yeah, no, my legs.
And I don't mind, I have a recording. I'm gonna be fine with anything you guys decide.
Well,
So I'd like to just run and do that and take whatever I need
Step
from
right
it.
up.
Thank you.
Okay, how are we, okay, Freedom Fest is what, July 10th through 16th?
July 12th through the 17th?
12th through the 17th? Well, I'll be there because I'm speaking there, so,
Where is it?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Oh, man.
I think it's great.
So,
I would rather go to DC.
What happened to the last weekend in
Cheaper
July?
party.
yeah, we can't, if we do Nevada 2 times in a row, we're gonna look like such jerks to the rest of the party.
Madam Chair,
Very convenient.
while we were discussing this and the secretary's out of the room, sometimes the hardest, in my experience of being on the board, and any board, not just this one, the hardest meeting to schedule is December because of the
I
holidays
agree.
and Thanksgiving.
I don't want to do
So
this.
we have had good luck, and I have had good luck with always with the first weekend in December. It's about the only decent weekend you're going to get because of Thanksgiving obviously is out, and then the next couple of weeks because of the holidays.
I want to try to squeeze it in before Thanksgiving.
That's fine, I just wanted to make a point to the board that we have, this board has almost done it always on the first week of December because usually it's the only decent week during the weekend during the holiday. That's not to say we can't do it before.
Mr. Ford.
As much as the doubling up in Nevada would be uncomfortable, what I've learned in the media is, particularly for an emerging organization that hasn't gotten much media, or the media it deserves, sometimes going to where the media already is one of the best options available. I love the idea of going to Freedom Fest, making a statement, having a meeting, supporting your presence there, supporting your speech there, and bringing literally the entire party's attention to your speech as part of our weekend.
Okay, question, and then I'm going to go Mr. Yan and you. Mr. Harris, what is the party doing at Freedom Fest so far?
Presenting a main stage panel
Okay, you know what day?
General session, main stage panel, I do not know the day off the top of my head, I'd have to research that with staff. We will have a breakout session panel and a general session panel, both on the main stage. We will be exhibiting in the exhibitor hall, all of the days, but of course that doesn't require a full
So
staff.
what I don't want to do is set a meeting for Freedom Fest and then find out that we all have to be on stage, myself included.
Very fair point.
During the meeting time. So I don't actually know if it'll work technically, even if we put everything else aside. Thoughts?
Can we table this until we know?
No, we
No, we gotta set it.
So, the longer we talk, the more I feel
Yes.
very strongly about DC on July 30th, because it's going to be cheaper for us.
Yes.
And counterpoint, while there is a lot of media at Freedom Fest, there are sometimes media in DC, I'm not saying they're gonna come to our meetings, we put it there, but that is the belly of the beast, so, Northern.
Mr. Kayla.
I'd like to go to DC, not in the winter.
Okay.
So I'm thinking either end of July or maybe the first week of September. I don't know, maybe we can take a poll and see what would be more appropriate for my
Rather
colleagues.
do end of July, but let's, and I'll get to why.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the convention committee is still in effect, though, may not be in effect then.
Actually,
I'll bring it up anyway. Our convention is in DC.
Yes.
In 2 years, although I know there is some talk that we want to kind of take a look at that contract, revisit that contract from the prior convention, but it might be another reason to do DC.
It is.
There's never enough times to visit a venue between now and the next convention.
Correct.
So
Okay.
I'll leave that out there. Sorry, I just
No,
confused things a
no,
little
you did
more.
not confuse things at all. How are we on July 30th if it's in DC? Can we-
That's good for me.
Can we live with this?
Good.
Gonna miss one.
Someone's gonna be missing.
Okay.
It's not, my daughter has a hockey tournament that weekend, it's not a big deal.
Okay,
And what's the time obligation? 2 days
The
in
weekend.
on site?
the weekend. So I
One
recommend that
night.
you get in Friday afternoon and you don't fly out until Sunday evening, preferably Monday morning.
Okay.
Okay. Are we okay with July 30th? Okay, let's, do we need an amendment?
Yes.
Okay, who wants to make that amendment?
I'm right here, so moved. I'd be able to do that. Whoops.
Okay.
Oh, 9 minutes.
She's recording it, so she can always edit that
That's
later.
okay, let's just,
Wait,
let's
was
just
my
try
motion
to
seconded?
look
Did my motion have a second?
What is the motion?
Then it wouldn't.
A different day?
Thanks.
Well, she's recording.
Okay, so we've got, it's been moved and seconded to amend it to July 30th, but let's take a look, let's get both dates in. Everybody looking? 30th. Okay. Okay, we're gonna go to a vote on the amendments. We can discuss it to death. Okay? All in favor? Okay? All opposed? Okay. None opposed, so we'll let Karen Ann know that she does not have to figure that out. Thank you all. We've got one thing left.
Madam Chair, can I just make a point of personal privilege to ask the executive director about how long will it take the new members to get access to the email list and whatever setups that we need so we can conduct business?
My only hesitation in answering that would be that we are very, very late in the day today and there's much travel tomorrow. But I've already sent it off to request that it be done as promptly as possible. So we are talking days, but potentially less than that, just depending on the extent to which we have the ability to burn the midnight oil.
We'll look your phone tomorrow while you're on the phone.
I appreciate it.
Actually, this is trivial. You normally have been asking about any stated abstentions. You didn't ask that this time.
Oh, you're right. My apologies. Would we like any abstentions on the record? Thought, yeah, I didn't think I saw it. Okay. Last item on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Not debatable, don't even try. Any objections?
Not an objection, just something to go to the order, if I may. No, it's outside of the meeting. I was just going to suggest that since we've had a first meeting, everyone's getting along very well, and it's been a very long day, that perhaps we consider taking a photograph together to commemorate our first meeting together.
Hearing no objections, the meeting is adjourned at 8:41 p.m. Thank you all.